The S&P 500, the Nasdaq 100. Now today we had some pretty good action. We pushed to new 52-week highs, exactly what we wanted. You look here at the 2-hour, we break, we push, exactly what we want, right? 1600, pretty great. Pretty good top, pretty good move. Is what we wanted to see. End of the day, we start seeing some selling action take place here. Okay, we go into something like YM, the Dow. Really great push into the next level if you've been paying attention. We talked about that ascending triangle breakout that you had here on the higher time frames, breaking into now basically the last resistance before all-time highs, in my opinion. You know, ES, what's happening here? You're pushing into 1609, or sorry, 4609, I believe, right about. I need to find it on the weekly chart real quick. Sorry for that. And you come back in here. Yeah, it's about like right here is where you're at, right there. So you're pushing 4609. It's another major level. So across the board, you're just hitting these brick walls, and these are all just like the last line of, you know, defense for a bear. Now, the interesting part of this is we go like to the 5-minute. We look at some of this action. So here at the end of the day, specifically, you see that downward action taking place here. But what's the trend that keeps happening? RTY, the Russell, continues to find buyers when sellers step in on the other side of the market. What does that mean? It means the riskier assets, the smaller caps, continue to get money flowing into them. Now, before we jump into that viewpoint and we start talking about risk on that's taking place in the economy and other factors that we need to be paying attention to, we also have to take a really quick look at some of these earnings that were taking place, right? Tesla, okay? Tesla's earnings were okay. You beat on EPS, you missed slightly on revenue. We also had Netflix earnings, another big one right here. And I think Netflix will have more impact on the market, but I want to talk about what happened here. You beat on EPS, you beat on revenue as well, okay? But the big thing that's happening with Netflix, and even though Netflix, we look at the chart, you may be down a little bit. I love this Netflix earnings, okay? So on Netflix, you can go to the after hours chart. You're pushing down like at 450 right now. This is something we need to be looking at. Net cash generated by operating activities in Q2 was 1.4 versus 0.1. We plan to deliver substantial positive FC free cash flow. Don't want to use abbreviations for you. In 2024, with a cash content spend to content amortization ratio of roughly 1.1x. So this is what you want to see. Business giving you a visual of businesses that have a lot of cash on hand that continue to do well. Microsoft, Apple, you know, some of the best performers on the year so far, right? Okay. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is what's happening with Apple. And you look at Apple, okay? Apple today. Talk about it. Talk about a move. Like, can we get one? You push from 193 into highs of 198, 199 roughly. You go to around the daily, and I mean, you know, people have been saying Apple's going to crash, but I mean, you just continue to hold the trend to the upside, right? Absolutely beautiful. Now, what did Apple announce today? They basically announced Apple GPT, right? They said that they are going to make a platform to compete directly with OpenAI. Probably as bullish as it gets. If you can implement this with all their other platforms, all their other pieces of tech, makes them the best company in the world if they're already not there. Especially when you look at what they're doing with, you know, the AR goggles and everything there. Big stuff happening there. So when we look at the market, even with some of these earnings, short term, will Netflix get a little bit of hate here? A little bit of downside? Probably. Tesla, I haven't even heard anything from the earnings call yet. But when I'm looking at them, I think their earnings were really good as well. Okay? Now, it's not the crazy, lavish numbers. They didn't scream AI. But they got you what you needed. Now, before we go into what plays I'm liking into the rest of this week and into next week, I have to ask you to consider doing two things: liking and subscribing here on the channel. If you get anything out of this. If you don't get anything out of this, then hit unsubscribe, get off the video. It's okay. Feelings aren't hurt. I only want to give you the content that you need to hear. If you're interested, the Discord link is down below. But if you're a new trader, I don't really recommend joining Discord. You can actually scroll down and see all the features that you will get, just so you know. There's a more affordable plan. There's a plan if you want to get more hands-on approach and really tap in with the other traders. There's almost 1,000 members in Discord as of right now. We're trying to break that $1,000 plateau. But that's where we're at now. Okay. So we're getting decent. Let's just run through the checklist. Netflix earnings, they missed on revenue. Okay. EPS beat, but they missed on revenue. Essentially the same as last earnings. They came out and they said they're going to have more free cash flow. They're making money. they're pushing people to this new ad tier. Just so you know, they're getting people off of the basic plan on Netflix. You're either paying for the really expensive premium plan, or you're going to be going to their ad tier plan, which the ad tier plan is just now getting started, right? So we need to understand that as well. And the ad tier is proving to really, really make that almost reoccurring value that they're getting better in the long run. It's keeping them alive, and it's helping them with these new productions and everything they're doing. And look at the earnings sheet. Made sense. I like it. I'm happy with it. Tesla, they're selling out with this idea of pushing manufacturing. Their cash on hand went down because they are pushing this so hard right now. They want to get Tesla out there everywhere because, again, end goal is the add-ons to the Teslas. And what do we know about Tesla? If they can succeed in this, they're going to dominate. Because, one, they're not looking to just make a one-time, money play on selling you the car. They're looking at the reoccurring subscription plan of having you consistently coming back to them for upgrades, for mock-ups, and everything in between there. And they're killing it at it. That's their goal. That's their focus. Elon is dead set on it. So I'm happy with this. I like it. IBM actually haven't seen their earnings call either, but they're just flat right now. IBM will be also important. Definitely will be watching them. So going into the S&P and the Nasdaq. So specifically here on what's happening with ES, all day long we basically just trended, just to give you a visual on the 5-minute. Really boring day. Nothing crazy. Trending at 4,600. Nothing crazy. Now, I would argue if you're about on the 15-minute, this comes out to somewhat of a bull flag. It's a little bit ugly, but I mean, you're just kind of trending sideways. There's no other way around it. It's not the most pretty thing, but you're just trending sideways here. Nothing crazy. Okay, and you can't really break down too much here. In Q, you go to NASDAQ. This is where you had any and all pain today. I mean, you pushed up to high 1605. You came back down. Not really doing much. Again, nothing really bad happening here, even with bad earnings. So this comes back to the thesis of, to get us to push down, you're going to need bad news. The areas of the market that I think had the most concern, which were banks. We look at the targets set by even the most bearish hedge funds, Credit Suisse, some of these foreign ones. We've already talked about Morgan Stanley and Goldman, and those are pretty bullish on the market. But now they're setting targets of 4,700 on ES. These are just keep coming out, and so we have to start paying attention of the writing on the wall. And so far, there's no reason to flip our narrative. And it's interesting to me that even with potentially bad earnings, and maybe I'm speaking too soon here, but it's interesting that even with some of these bad earnings, we're not pushing down. It has to lead you to the question of, maybe the only way we're to push down is if this recession plan or this inflation starts to spike back up. And that's kind of been the going notion for me of what's going to happen for us to get downside. You're going to have to see inflation numbers spike back up. You're going to have to see, pain hit the market. You're going to have to see something bad. And I can only say it so much, but that's where we're at here. It's not maybe not the answer you want to hear, but it's the answer you're going to get. So that's where we're at here. Now, we go a little bit across the market. We look at a few things. Names like Meta, they're still holding up very high. Mounting highs, ready to push back up. Really set to take off. Look at names like Amazon. You push right back up. You get back above the 200 SMA. You're killing it. We go a little bit deeper. We look at some of these other smaller caps we mentioned. Upstart, destroying, pushing up. We've mentioned this one on the Twitter, YouTube. We've mentioned this one over and over. So you're seeing these small cap moves, and they're still just really loving it where we're at. Apple still sitting damn near at highs, right? You had that, FOMO push from the news, and then you got back here. But I'm going to tell you right now, if Apple is really pushing to make a platform to compete with ChatGPT and OpenAI, this is not the top. I promise you. This is not the top if they're making a platform to compete with OpenAI. Don't care what you say. This is literally just the beginning. Going to tell you that right now. Microsoft, still doing really well. You had that really strong push into yesterday. We came back down. You're still really solid. We haven't even retested preview. We actually got the day. You did. Spoke a little bit too soon. But you can see right there. It's a little, not really. I knew it had an alert there. But you're trying to just get a retest of previous highs. Still bullish behavior. Making higher lows, higher highs. And again, I can just show use case after use case of this happening. And so that's just my opinion when we look at this market. Okay. So into some names I'm liking, some visuals. But first, really quickly, what's happening here. Oil still on the declining channel. Want to highlight that. Going into DXY, what's happening there? You're getting a little bit of a bounce. To let you know, I would be looking, and this would actually be a perfect setup to if you get a retest of this zone right here. So you're looking for a push and then a break back down. That's ideally what you'd be looking for. Also worth to mention, your massive support would be right here near the 200 SMA. So that's the clear target for the DXY, in my opinion. DXY dropping points to a risk on mentality in the market. Again, just what I'm looking for. Don't shoot the messenger. That's what I'm looking for. Yields continue to push down. We got a little bit of upside over the past, 48 hours, but still, you're still looking to push down, 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 which is ultimately what we want, right? We need more of a drop. We need more of a fall, but this is a step in the right direction. The inversion did come a little bit to the upside today, but again, we're still in the, the right path of where we need to be going. Okay. The 10, 30 are really dropping. We need the 5. We need the 2-year to start dropping more to feel better about the health in the economy. We saw gold bounce. I think gold will continue to bounce or at least hold up into FOMC, which is next week, the rate decision. Make sure you are ready for that as well. Okay, so those are the main things we're watching here. Now we go into stock plays I'm looking at. Number one, not NVIDIA. I mean Netflix. We're going to NVIDIA. The biggest thing here that I'm watching for in the short term is right here near 470. It was a trade we mentioned on the day, roughly right here. Okay, giving you a visual of what we were looking for. This was it. So today I mentioned 2 things, Meta, and then I mentioned also NVIDIA at 470. NVIDIA obviously held 470 right there. You ended up running almost instantly to 475. You go into Meta, what happened here? We go to this trade. We're looking for a mount above 314.23. Go back into that. You mounted above that pretty easily back here. We need to go exactly to where we were today. I believe it was like right here. You mounted above right about here on the 15-minute time frame. Sorry, it wasn't drawn on here, so it's really quick and easy. But you got above it right here. We shot up to highs of 318, 319. So it's really killing it, and it's holding those levels now. What's important to see is that we're holding these levels even into the after hours. Okay, so even with bad earnings, index is getting a little bit of blood. These stocks are still holding there. That's what I like to see about these. But again, these same levels have to hold. So NVIDIA needs to hold 470. Meta needs to hold around 314, 314.2. 2 names I'm still liking, have a lot of upside, and still look very strong. Number 3 is going to be Microsoft. We go about to the 4-hour time frame. I'm looking for previous highs to hold 351.6 roughly. That's what I want to see. As long as this holds, I'm happy. I'd be looking for a retest for the safest level to enter, of course, and that's what you're looking for. So giving you a visual, you'd be looking for something like this where you're bouncing, you come back down, you start pushing back up. Ultimately, that's what you want. Just the retest, the hold, push up. Stops would be tight around like 350 flat, 349 roughly, whatever you want to set those, and how dated you want to go. That's how I'd be looking there. Apple, I think Apple needs to be on everyone's watch list right now. It's probably one of the better looking names. I'm looking for this thing to start trending like it already really is. In my opinion, you're looking at something along these lines here. So you have the clear higher lows that are being made. You want that to continue to hold. As long as this continues to hold, I'm happy, and I think this will continue to run. I'm not worried too much about after hours. I'm focused on what happens at market open. We've seen, Netflix last earnings. You dropped, got bought right back up. There's no point to freak out. You got to wait for these earning calls to go through. You just got to wait till the market open. If you worry about after hours, you're going to panic. You're not even trading right now, right? So you need to focus on what's happening when the market opens. Everyone panics that you lose sleep at night. You got to focus on what the market's giving you, not what you want to take from the market. Okay? That's got to be the focus, right? So those are the main bullet points and main things I'm watching here today. I still love cloud names. I still love some of those Chinese names as well. But again, you want to have time if you're getting into those. Last one will be SNOW. So you remember yesterday I talked about snow. You got that push from 185. You broke and held. You pushed all the way today up to 193. Congratulations. But now you're right back at that level, 185. I'm looking to see if you are going to hold this level. If you can hold this level here into tomorrow. I love cloud. Big fan. So we want to see if this can hold. Can it get the push up to around 200, maybe even 195? That's what you're looking for there as well. If you have questions, please comment down below. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good one, traders.